My family bears an unexplainable curse. A clown appears at every 10th birthday celebration, yet no one ever hires one. My earliest memory of the clown dates back to my cousin Mike's 10th birthday bash. I was just a 5-year-old at the time, but I vividly recall the unusual commotion surrounding the clown. My parents had prepared me extensively before we left home, and the tension during the drive to Mike's house was palpable. My dad kept taking deep breaths and said, "There's going to be a clown at Mike's party." "Just be polite, dear. All you have to do is be polite," my mom added, her nervousness evident as she kept wiping her hands on her dress. I couldn't fathom why they were so anxious. Weren't clowns supposed to be a staple at birthday parties? When we arrived at Mike's house, something strange was afoot. Kids frolicked in the backyard, leaping joyously in the bouncy castle, while the adults stood in silence, their eyes darting anxiously around the yard. Some of my aunts and uncles moved in and out of the house intermittently, as if they were expecting something significant to occur. As I joined my cousins in the bouncy castle, I noticed movement in the bushes near the gate leading to the backyard. My bouncing intensified as I tried to get a better view. Finally, I spotted the clown emerging from the bushes, unlatching the gate. I peered through the mesh of the bouncy castle, my face pressed against it, and I watched in fascination as the clown entered the yard, shutting the gate behind. I observed the clown scanning the yard until his gaze landed on me. He stared at me for a few eerie seconds, and I stared back, unsure of what to do. It seemed that no one else had noticed his presence yet, and my cousins continued bouncing behind me. The clown was short, wearing a curly, multicolored wig atop his naturally pale face. His lips, unnaturally red, a giant round red nose. His eyes, intensely dark, concealed the distinction between his pupil and iris. He sported 2 black lines starting above his thick eyebrows, descending to the tops of his inflated cheeks tinged with blush. His skin was porcelain smooth, and he wore yellow polka dot pants held up by red suspenders. A white shirt adorned with giant red buttons and red ruffles around the neck, chest and sleeves completed his eccentric attire. Shiny red clown shoes and a gift bag in one hand completed the picture. I couldn't gauge how long I stood there, mesmerized by the clown. Suddenly, my mom yanked me out of the bouncy house, dragging me to a table where she seated me between herself and my dad. My eyes remained fixed on the clown as he approached my cousin Lily and produced a pink balloon from his pocket. With a magician's flourish, he transformed the balloon into a dog, handing it to her. She gleefully accepted it, but her joy was short-lived as my Aunt Emily grabbed Lily roughly and pulled her away from the clown. Tension hung heavy for the remainder of Mike's birthday party. Our parents kept us close, and the clown continued to roam the yard, crafting balloon animals and honking his nose for the children. When gift opening time arrived, we watched as Mike unwrapped an array of video games, action figures, and a few clothing items. However, when he reached the final gift, the clown approached him, presenting the gift bag he'd carried throughout the event. I witnessed Mike's mom's futile attempt to prevent the clown from handing him the gift, while my uncle held her back. The clown's gift raised eyebrows and suspicions. "It's a book," Mike announced. A collective sigh of relief swept through the crowd, and Mike examined the small hardcover book with a glossy dust jacket featuring a beach illustration. Once the clown departed, Mike's dad promptly confiscated the book. When I inquired about it later, Mike told me his parents had discarded it. I would encounter the clown several more times, always at my cousin's 10th birthday parties. Each time he arrived in the same eccentric attire, gifting them hardcover picture books that their parents promptly got rid of. When I reached my own 10th birthday, the same pattern repeated. Though I pleaded with my parents to let me examine the book, they adamantly refused. On my birthday night, I clandestinely watched my dad take the book to the attic. I attempted to locate it on numerous occasions thereafter, but my dad had hidden it well, and it remained elusive. I once questioned my parents why we continued to have birthday parties if they were so fearful of the clown's presence. Their response was cryptic, mentioning that the clown would always appear, regardless of their efforts to prevent it. Subsequently, I did not encounter the clown for a few years. My cousins had all outgrown their 10th birthdays and none of them had children yet. However, when I turned 20, tragedy struck. My parents perished in a car accident, leaving me their house. By then, I had almost forgotten about the clown and the mysterious book, no longer caring to delve into the secrets they held. Approximately 12 years later, my daughter Sophie celebrated her 10th birthday. My wife was aware of the clown's existence, having witnessed it once at Jake's twins' birthday party. We followed the same precautions as my parents, warning Sophie to be courteous to the clown. Around 30 minutes into the party, the clown vaulted over the backyard fence and meandered over to the table where Sophie and her cousins were receiving makeovers. Suppressing my urge to intervene, I observed the clown, identical to my memories as it engaged with the children. He crafted balloon animals and fashioned a hat from balloons, gently placing it on my niece Emily's head. She thanked him and he clapped his hands, continuing his meandering. None of the guests dared to challenge the unspoken rule, never interfere with the clown's presence. We all knew, without being explicitly told, that it would result in something dire, something we did not wish to discover. When gift opening time arrived, I noticed the clown clutching the gift bag once more. After Sophie unwrapped her gifts from family members, the clown approached her and extended the bag. She accepted it and slowly uncovered a book. "Thank you," Sophie said, smiling at the clown. With a bow, he departed, leaping back over the fence. Relieved, I retrieved the book from Sophie, who did not seem to mind its confiscation. She appeared grateful that I chose to follow my parents' example and hide it away in the attic. As I held the book in my hands, curiosity gnawed at me. It seemed like the same as all the other books I'd seen, A hardcover volume with a glossy dust jacket adorned with an illustration, this time depicting a girl who bore a striking resemblance to Sophie, standing before a birthday cake, poised to blow out the candles. Opening the book, I discovered an inscription on the inside cover reading, "Happy 10th, Sophie." The first page lay blank, but the next page initiated a sinister narrative. It featured various drawings of a girl resembling my daughter engaging in birthday party activities. Laughter, jubilation, and camaraderie permeated the drawings as Sophie celebrated with friends and family. The ominous turning point arrived as the clown made its appearance, described in eerie detail. It mentioned his love for 10th birthdays, his enthusiasm for the occasion, and the unspoken understanding that something unusual was about to unfold. The drawings that followed painted a horrifying tableau of the clown's actions, guests meeting gruesome fates, their deaths depicted in graphic detail. I slammed the book shut, a chilling sensation coursing through my veins. The reason behind our parents' secrecy and reluctance to reveal the books became painfully clear. I wondered about the clown's motive for gifting us these dreadful books, but I followed my parents' lead, determined to remove it from our lives at the party's conclusion. As I placed the book atop the refrigerator, an anguished scream pierced the air. I rushed to the door and flung it open, witnessing a scene of chaos and terror. The clown had returned, standing menacingly by the fence, a gleaming butcher knife in hand. Beside him lay the lifeless body of my cousin Pablo's child, Trevor, sprawled across the grass. I scanned the backyard frantically for Sophie, but she was nowhere to be found. Guests scrambled away from the clown, some hurling their children over the fence into the neighbor's yard, following them as quickly as they could. I searched for my wife and spotted her rushing towards me, heading inside the house. "Where's Sophie?" I implored. She responded breathlessly. "She jumped the fence a while ago. She's safe, we need to hide." She pulled me inside, and more family members sought refuge in the kitchen and living room. As the night wore on, the cries ceased and I cautiously ventured outside. 10 lifeless bodies now littered the yard, and moments later, the police arrived. Jake, his family, and Sophie returned, and I rushed to embrace her. "I'm so relieved you're safe," I whispered. I kept her close as we faced a barrage of questions from the authorities. I chose not to divulge my knowledge of the clown, as no one would believe the tale of our family's cursed birthdays. Instead, we all maintained our innocence, claiming no knowledge of the clown's identity or his presence. Hours later, the last of the investigators departed. Wendy had retired to her room, and I helped my wife tidy up the aftermath. Upon finishing, I retrieved the book from atop the fridge and handed it to her. She gazed at it, perplexed. "What's this?" she inquired. "It's what he gave Sophie," I replied. She opened it, read its ominous contents, and tossed it onto the counter in disbelief. "What in the world?" she exclaimed. "Was this all a twisted prank?" I shrugged, my mind racing with questions. "Did this happen to everyone else?" she wondered. "I don't know," I admitted. "Our parents never allowed us to see the books." We stood in silence, gazing at the book with revulsion. "I'm going to look for something," I declared suddenly. I ascended to the attic's entrance, pulled down the ladder, and cautiously climbed upward. When I reached the top, I flicked on the lights and began searching through the clutter. Amidst numerous boxes, old decorations, and furniture, I finally discovered it. The book I had received on my 10th birthday, secreted beneath the cushion of an ancient chair. I pulled it out, noting the illustration of a house with a solitary lit window on the cover. Opening the book, I found a matching inscription inside reading, "Happy 10th, David." Turning the pages, I delved into the narrative, ignoring the pictures. "Today is David's 10th birthday," it began, describing familiar scenes from my own childhood celebration. The narrative hinted at something ominous to come, culminating in the mention of my daughter's 10th birthday. My blood ran cold as I read further, encountering drawings that depicted the clown's sinister actions at Sophie's party. The chilling climax featured an empty bed beside an open window. With a sinking feeling in my gut, I abandoned the book and hurriedly descended the ladder. "Wendy," I cried out, "what's happening?" My wife's voice echoed from another room as she shouted. I rushed into Wendy's bedroom, turned on the light, and searched frantically. But it was too late. She was gone, her bed empty and her window wide open.